Yeah, hi there. These comments are for R. I'm just using your initials for privacy purposes, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. I just read your essay. So the good news is you have a fairly clear pattern of organization with some supporting detail. The bad news is your language use issues are fairly significant, right? So to demonstrate what some of these issues are, I'm going to go ahead and error correct one of your paragraphs and then the topic sentences of your body paragraphs. So you have people share the earth, the planet, and the life. Probably you don't need this sentence here. So living in a private house doesn't mean that you want to say here, right, you are alone or you're not responsible. Usually when we use the word responsible, you say responsible for what happens around you. A neighborhood is one of the important points that people should be aware of. Again, when we say aware, we say of. And because you said the word that here, there's no need to use the word it because that replaces that word. They should consider it as something they share. I'm going to be a little more explicit here. They should consider neighborhood as something they share. Again, you don't need this pronoun. So they should consider neighborhood as something they share, and I would just say care about. So you're starting off with some general statements about the topic. So having some outbuilding, I don't think that's the right word. You might say, I would use the word commercial or don't even need it. Once you say commercial means businesses. So this is not the right word. So this is a vocabulary issue. You probably looked up in your dictionary, you found the word, but it doesn't work with what you're trying to do here. So having some businesses in the neighborhood might be good if the people know what to choose. Having a playground for children, you need a verb in here, is not the same as having a theater. Building a theater, you need a gerund here in a neighborhood, is not an appropriate idea. Don't need any of those words there. Just say, because it threatens safety, causes crowds, and affects. Remember here, we're using this, it threatens, causes, and affects. So all three of those verbs need to be in that third person singular inflection there. So building a theater in a neighborhood is not an appropriate idea because it threatens safety, causes crowds, and affects the quietness. I'll give you another word here. the serenity of the place, the peace and tranquility, if you will. The other thing that's a little bit difficult here, there is not what I consider a good cohesion from one sentence to the next sentence. So in the first sentence, you're talking about sharing the earth, the planet, and the life. Then you're talking about living in a private house. Doesn't mean you're alone or not responsible for what happens. Maybe if you take this and say in your environment, if you say in your environment, then that word, it helps tie what you're saying back to the previous. And again, with this sentence, you have a neighborhood as one of the important points that people should be aware of. But how does that tie back to the previous sentence? It doesn't really. So what you have to do is, if you look in your writing book, you'll see that a writer typically will take one word in one sentence. When the writer moves on to the next sentence, the writer will take one of those key words and restate it. And then it makes it all connected. So neighborhood is one of the important points that people instead saying should be aware of, should show responsibility and maybe judgment. You see what I'm doing here? What I'm doing is I'm using this word here because you used it over here. So I'm trying to use a word in this sentence that goes back to what you just said in the previous sentence. In this sentence, I put this word in that ties back to the earth, the planet, and the life, which is our environment, right? So now your sentences are connecting a little bit better. So a neighborhood is one of the important points that people should show responsibility and judgment. They should have responsibility and judgment. I'm going to say here the word which. So I'm going to change this to this. I think we got it. So a neighborhood is one of the important points for which people should have responsibility and judgment. It means people should have responsibility and judgment for a neighborhood. They should consider a neighborhood as something they share and care about. Having some businesses in the neighborhood might be good if the people know what to choose. So having some entertainment venues in the neighborhood might be good if the people know what to choose. You might say, having a playground for children Again, it's just making all your sentences tie together is really the biggest issue. So it's really it looks like your first paragraph is where you're having the most difficulty with your cohesion. Your other paragraphs are not that bad. Okay, let's see how we can connect this. You might say, for example, having a playground for children then we might say this. So for example, having a playground for children, a place for play and exercise, is a common choice for many residents of many neighborhoods, but it is not the same as having a theater. I think we got it. We did it. This was a struggle, I apologize. Cohesion is a pretty serious error. I want to be honest with you. It was not really an error, but it's just a matter of not being able to connect all your sentences together, and it makes it more difficult for your reader to understand what you're saying, right? All right, see what we have here. I think we may have solved all your problems here. People share the earth, the planet, and the life. Living in a private house doesn't mean that you're alone or you're not responsible for what happens in your environment. A neighborhood is one of the important points for which people should have responsibility and judgment. They should consider a neighborhood as something they share and care about. Having some entertainment venues in the neighborhood might be good if the people know what to choose. For example, having a playground for children, a place for play and exercise, is a common choice for many residents in many neighborhoods, but it is not the same as having a theater. Building a theater in a neighborhood is not an appropriate idea because it threatens safety, causes crowds, and affects the serenity of the place. So first, having a theater in the neighborhood will threaten safety. So I'll just make one modification there. Then you have your examples. This is good. This paragraph actually fits together pretty well. But there's just a lot of problems with your word choice and sentence structure. That's one of the big things. But I want to work on this particular paragraph. I'm going to use second, because you started with first here, right? Then say, the construction of a theater will bring unwanted here. So you're getting a little bit, you have to be careful here. You're assuming by saying the third reason or the second, you want to make sure that each of your topic sentences goes back to the purpose. Your first topic sentence was good, where you said having a theater will threaten safety, right? So then we say, second, the construction of a theater will bring unwanted crowds to the neighborhood. So then, instead of just saying second, is unwanted crowds to the neighborhood, you don't want to forget this. This is how you tie your topic sentence back to your thesis and ultimately back to the writing prompt. So you don't want to say just second. The second is unwanted crowds in the neighborhood, that doesn't really connect it back very well. The same thing here. And I'm just going to say here a third and keep everything parallel. Okay, let's take a look at this one. You might say, if a movie theater is built, the neighborhood will lose you can just say serenity. I think quietness or quiet, serenity, peace and calm or whatever, it's all pretty much the same thing, right? So third, if a movie theater is built, the neighborhood will lose its serenity to which it is so accustomed. Let's see what we have here. So again, I'm taking this and rewriting this particular topic sentence so that it more directly connects back. And what I did really is just I put this in here. This is important because this connects back to your thesis, which is what you have here, right? So let's check. I think we have it. Now, you understand my grammar here? What I'm saying is the neighborhood will lose its serenity. Then you have which means the neighborhood is so accustomed to this serenity. That's kind of what that means. So that's kind of the grammar I'm using here. Okay, so overall, I mean, the good news is you have the first paragraph did not tie in together very well from sentence to sentence, and you saw what I had to do. I had to take a word here, and then I would use it. I use the word environment because it refers back to the earth, planet, and life, right? Now in this case, I use the word responsibility and judgment because that ties back to responsible of what was mentioned in the previous paragraph. And of course, this paragraph ties back. Then we talked about entertainment venues. Then we talked about playgrounds. Then we made the transition to theaters. And then we got very narrow to our thesis. And I did give you some examples of how you can rewrite, particularly the topic sentence in paragraph number 3 and number 4. All right? So now the question is, what exactly is your score and why? Where are we here? So we have to take a look at this. So you're getting there. You're getting there, but you do have quite a few sentence structure issues, some problems understanding how things are connected, as I pointed out. But still, you have some strengths. But I think it's going to be tough for you to get in the 3 area here. So I'm going to put you at the top of the 2 area, 2.75 out of 5, or 18 points out of 30. Why is that? So I think sometimes inadequate organization, or sometimes your sentences, especially in the introduction, they weren't connected together very well. It didn't fit very well. As you're moving from your general to your more specific statements, you had some cohesion problems. But you also have a lot of problems either with word choice or a large number of errors in sentence structure and or usage. So these are also some issues that you're dealing with in your writing right now. Now my recommendation is kind of complicated, but I do have some things that can help you. Number 1, keep watching TV every day in English. This is important. You need more exposure to the language. Secondly, make sure you're reading newspapers, magazines, and books in English. You're reading the Red Badge of Courage, right? it's very tempting to not read the book. It's tempting maybe to go online and read some cliff notes and so on. But that's not going to help your English very much. Read the book. Read all of it. Read it several times. This is going to be very important for you. You need more practice with English, and reading is definitely going to help you get the right exposure that you need. So you want to do that. Now my third suggestion is go through the grammar lessons for the next month or two and start with grammar lesson 1, then go to 2, then go to 3, and so on. I even recommend that you keep a grammar journal where you can write down some of the sentences that you're learning and the grammar you're learning. When you see new structures you're not that familiar with, you can put those things in your grammar journal. And my final suggestion is, in addition to just getting more exposure to the language like you are, and make sure that you're speaking English even when you're in the intensive English program. It's probably pretty tempting. You might have other friends and things that want to speak to you in English. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it right now, not based on the problems you're having with your writing. So if you're serious about solving your writing problems, you got to get serious with your language use. That means you need to speak as much English as you can every day. And trust me, I've been teaching English online. I've been teaching at the English language program. I've been working with students in composition for 2 decades. And it is a matter of getting the right exposure to the language over and over and over an extended period of time that's going to help you. All right, finally, between now and the final exam, I recommend that you write maybe complete 4 to 6 additional writing practice tests, and you can send them to me, and then I'll have my TA score them for you, because you need to work out the introduction issues you're having, and you need to work out the issues of making your sentences connected, how one sentence leads to the next one leads to the next, and they're all connected somehow. You weren't able to do that in your introduction. That means that you need to do more practice with writing practice tests, I think, at my website, and that's going to help get you ready for the final exam. So I recommend do 4 to 6 writing practice tests over the next few weeks to help get your writing skills in a higher level. Practice does help you get better. In fact, I just had one of my TOEFL students this month. He was working on his writing quite a bit. He had a lot of writing issues, and his writing wasn't quite as low as yours, but he started out about 21 points out of 30. Where was it? He's about 3.25 out of 5. So he started my online TOEFL course. He worked very hard for a couple months. He took the writing test again. And guess what? In 30 minutes, he got 4.25 out of 5, or 27 points out of 30 on the writing section. And his overall TOEFL score was 103. So he was able to make improvements through practice. Of course, he was probably studying TOEFL about 4 hours every day for 2 months, and he did it. And you can too. You can definitely improve your writing with practice. All right, anyway, thank you very much for completing this practice test. I look forward to reading your final exam in a few weeks. And hang in there. Remember, use the language as much as you can, especially when you're in the English language program. Absolutely never speak in your own language when you're in the English language program. That's going to be very, very helpful for you. Right? Even on the weekends, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, make sure you're speaking a lot of English on the weekends. And you will get good results.